not all history is long ago. Some involves our present day as well. It involves a period when the world thought it was wisest and most civilized than ever before. And though history was rife with many unknowns, controlling groups still knew the importance of effectively testing products and procedures before selling them to the public. This list doesn't contain all important topics of human immoralities. Instead, it's a means to relay a message with few explanations. Here is 5 times the world was misguided. Tobacco advertising, number 5. Since the mass production of cigarettes, companies have been advertising tobacco products, which was in line with earlier morals, as they were unaware of its hazardous effects. But deviously, now we are aware of its very real health threats. Globally, governments still allow tobacco companies the rights to advocate and advertise the use of cigarettes and other tobacco products. According to the CDC, the 4 major U.S. cigarette companies spent almost $8 billion on cigarette advertising and promotion in 2019, which equates to over $20 million a day. And according to the National Library of Medicine, the world's 6 largest cigarette manufacturers profited over $55 billion in U.S. currency in 2018. Immoral advertising paid off. Radioactive kitchenware, number 4. Apparently, there is no limit to corporate schemes. A company called Fiestaware is just one more company that did whatever necessary to sell a product. In the 1930s to the 1970s, Fiestaware used uranium oxides to create vibrant colored paints for kitchenware. And though this practice had suspicious implementation, it wasn't always a most dire circumstance. For instance, while the dishware is intact, much of the uranium remains encapsulated. But if the dishware broke, users became more exposed to radiation. And although it's a fact that different types of radiation vary in potential risks, it's still best to avoid radiation altogether. Number 3, bloodletting. The procedure or process of tapping into an artery or vein to remove what is believed to be excess blood or tainted, unusable blood. The misled public believed that the practice removed all diseased ailments from the body. It was a medical practice that evoked high public expectations. Bloodletting was a pseudoscience with falsely glorified claims. However, this medical malpractice might have been the longest running of pseudosciences. Some sources document that bloodletting practices spanned well over 2,000 years. But unlike other pseudosciences, bloodletting actually has a legitimate place in medicine today. Presently, controlled bloodletting has led many patients to very positive recoveries. Cocaine, number 2. Cocaine is another drug that was not always a controlled substance. In fact, it's been reputed as having once been a general product used in Coca-Cola. Once legal, cocaine killed indiscriminately before its menacing effects on society grew in public awareness. Unfortunately, the damage had been done. And in spite of eventually becoming a controlled substance, cocaine use and its addiction was never removed from our society. Like heroin, the cocaine epidemic could have been sustained had extensive research been done prior to its retail and public availability. Number 1, lobotomy. Lobotomy began in the 1930s, and during the 1940s and 1950s, its practice was on a heightened rampage. Now deemed unethical, lobotomies were once considered a medical marvel by many, and was still being practiced in Canada almost until 1980. Proper statistics were never recorded, but lobotomy is reported as having a 14% mortality rate, and throughout its practice, its purpose and true effectiveness has never been proven. Oddly, Antonio Egas Moniz won a controversial Nobel Prize that left much of the medical community appalled. Even worse, soon after, Walter Jackson Freeman thought the procedure would improve by hammering an ice pick into the brain. Allegedly, Walter Freeman performed almost 3,500 lobotomies, with many being done in unfavorable environments, such as hotel rooms. And conveniently, many were conducted in asylums and institutions where the unfortunate were stripped of their right to challenge his decision. It's a painful truth, but this list barely scratches the surface of our history of misguidance. Such a true list would be horrid. But hopefully now, you better understand the unbounded parameters of the lawlessness and immorality among us. Thanks for tuning in.